ever get down underground, undersea, into the world of marine biology and put it together. Big and firmly for Sean Killen. Sean!
Yes, I am a biologist. I guess I was inspired to become a researcher at the age of 7 when my father told me that he held the Guinness World Record for going the longest time without farting. It's actually true. He told me I was amazed as a kid after Unafi. It's an impressive feat. But he told me that there are teams of scientists just observing him around the clock, taking shifts, making sure he wasn't farting, and to prove that he wasn't farting, they actually immersed him in a vat of liquid. I guess it was water, just to see if there's any bubbles that were sneaking out. It's a very elaborate procedure. I guess it's sort of like Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. He was just sort of suspended in this vat of this fart-detecting, life-supporting fluid. And it needed to be, because apparently he spent years in this tank, and he claims that most of his early 20s were spent in this tank being observed not farting. And eventually the scientists, and I can understand it, they just got fed up. They're just like, fuck this, we're gonna make this son of a bitch fart. And they merged his observations with a larger Taco Bell-funded study. And I think it was the clinical trials for the zesty beef and bean burrito. And they were just force-feeding him burritos. At the top of the tank, his head was sort of bobbing there, just jamming in there, tacos occasionally. And trying to make him fart, that just made him want to not fart out of spite. And so it was this negative or positive feedback loop of not farting and forced burrito feeding. And it just all exploded, literally and figuratively.
Oh, no.
And it was interesting because he went from having the record from the longest time without farting to actually starting what would become the world's longest continuous fart. And it went all through my childhood. He was actually farting while he was telling me the story. And I actually just Skyped my parents the other day, and I could still hear it. It's like, it's kind of like a deflating sound. And it was very disturbing. The world's most elaborate fart joke, ladies and gentlemen. But I was impressed. I was amazed at the problem solving at work. I mean, they needed to show that he wasn't farting. How would they do that? They stick him in water and watch for bubbles. And the simplicity and the elegance is like, I want to do that. I want to become a scientist. And so now I am one. And but it's problematic because thinking of ways to solve problems all the time and sort of overanalyzing things and overthinking things, it bleeds into your everyday life. And I can't even watch TV or movies anymore without it's completely ruining it by overthinking it. I'm a nerd, so you might think I like Star Trek, but no, I can't even watch that without totally ruining it. I just see things like the holodeck, which for those of you that don't spend most evenings alone with Doritos powder smeared on your face, masturbating to Sailor Moon porn, is a room on the show where people go in and they can so accurately simulate any environment and even other people so accurately you can't tell the difference between reality and the simulation. I just think there's no way this could exist. This is just ridiculous. Not because of the technological limitations, but because the entire crew of the ship would spend all of their time in there getting laid. That's all they would do. They try and make it look like the holodecks used for, practicing different scenarios and fixing things, figuring it out. It would only be used for porn. That's the only thing. Simulating sex. People would never come out of this room. Civilization would crumble, let alone the Enterprise. Klingons would be blasting the Enterprise to bits, and Picard wouldn't care. He'd be in his 47th straight hour in the holodeck getting blown by a simulated version of himself. Oh yes, we get so. Can you imagine Wesley Crusher in there? Or any teenager with access to a holodeck? You wouldn't be able to physically remove them. They would barricade themselves in there, and he would slowly ejaculate himself to death. You might bust down the door after a few days and just find him emaciated in a pool of his own semen. Because the thing with the holodeck is you think you're having sex, but you're just thrusting away in midair. And what happens with the fluids? I mean, when they show the holodeck when it's off, it's this nice, clean, empty room. Those ceilings and floors must be easy clean because that must get coated in semen on a regular basis, just drenched. Imagine Geordie LaForge in there, a nice romantic date. Nice date with his beautiful simulated girlfriend, a nice romantic simulated dinner, and they make love, and then the program shuts off, and it's him standing there, pants around his ankles and a stain on the wall. Technician comes in, hoses it down. pours some bleach, sprays it towards a drain in the middle of the floor. I don't even want to think about Worf in there. Imagine a Klingon. Like a fire hose and it goes off. Take like weeks to clean up after him. Just rivers of Klingon semen. But yes, I'm a scientist. I'm actually a marine biologist, as I mentioned at the beginning there. I study fish. Oh, we got another marine biologist here apparently. Well, I like the look of disappointment on people. Well, the first wonder and disappointment when I say I'm a marine biologist that I study fish. It's like people go from, oh, you study whales and swim with the dolphins? It's like, oh, fish. Well, they're pretty neat too, I guess. It's sort of like if someone gives you your favorite movie on DVD, you're so excited and happy, but then you look at the case and it's the full screen version instead of the letterbox version, and you feel bad, but you still kind of have to act happy because you know your mom just got it because she saw it full and thought that was good. But now you really still want the movie, so you have to go and buy another copy of The Matrix. Now you have two, one of which you have to hide every time she comes over because you don't want her to see that one, you don't want to get the first one away. It's exactly like that. Fish are cool creatures. They're interesting for all kinds of reasons in biology. One of the things I'm most interested in is fish schooling behavior. So you've probably all seen footage of these massive fish schools swimming through the ocean, showing these really incredibly sophisticated, coordinated movements. And it's really interesting. We found that there's fish that always consistently prefer to be at the front of the schools, and then there's always some that prefer to be at the back. And this is interesting from an evolutionary perspective because some individuals might be having an influence on the success or the safety of others. So the fish at the front might be leading the other ones into a dangerous area with a lot of predators if it means they can get more food. It's sort of like if there's a group of friends, a few drunk people is all it takes to convince everyone to go to the chip shop for dinner. Everyone else has to put themselves at risk eating that shit. I think the fish actually have the better deal in that analogy. I think I'd rather be killed and eaten alive by a predator than to have to eat a king rib while sober. Schooling on the whole is a very good thing, though. It helps fish avoid predators, find food. There is one big drawback, however, in that if fish are in a school, they're basically swimming through each other's piss and shit all the time. And yeah, kind of disgusting. I mean, especially the ones in the back, because there's more fish in front of them. We can't really imagine this, but it'd be like if you were walking down the street and the guy on the pavement in front of you just turned around and started pissing on you while he was walking. I guess that does happen on Sauchy Bell Street. So there are parallels. But this happens in fish schools all the time. So the fish are basically pissing and shitting in each other's faces. And that got me thinking. It was a real eureka moment. I was like, wait a minute, maybe those fish at the back, maybe they prefer being at the back because they're just into it. They like that kind of thing. Maybe I've been looking at the wrong traits all along. Maybe I need to measure fish kinkiness. So, I think the next time I do observations in the field, my hypothesis will be that the fish in the back will be more likely to be wearing like little leather outfits, little ball gags in their fish mouths. I guess they'd be gill gags. That would be an amazing discovery. Tool use in animals. Dear Nature, please consider the attached manuscript for publication, in which we demonstrate for the first time that fish are into some fucking kinky shit. I'd have to measure their kinkiness in another context outside of the school too. I was thinking maybe taking individual fish and putting them in a tea maze to give them a choice between food and like a pile of dildos or something to see what they would pick. That would be weird if you did that experiment and any fish picked a bunch of dildos. They don't even know what a dildo is. They don't have a penis, they don't know what to do with it. But I guess a pile of dildos would make a good hiding spot from predators. I mean, fish in the Clyde, for example, all discarded dildos are probably a significant component of their habitat. So they probably do that all the time. Interestingly, and this is true, this has been found that herring in schools communicate, well, it's not they communicate, but they make a sound releasing bubbles from their ass. This is true. And this is in the paper that was published, the authors actually called these noises fast and repetitive ticks, or farts. See, biologists know how to make an acronym. You know to do it right. And it's thought that they use this for communication, especially in the dark, so all the fish know where each other are and they can stick together. I thought, this is amazing. Can you imagine, like, that means in these herring societies, not farting is considered to be rude and antisocial. One fish hasn't farted in a while, and the others are like, what's wrong with Jerry? He's not farting anyway. I don't know, he's a jerk. I never farted. No, he swam right past me the other day. He didn't even fart hello. But who knew that you could communicate with farts? Well, not with farts, talk to them or anything, but using farts. Maybe my dad was trying to tell me something all along in a special way, that I should get into this field. And now all I need to do is find the fish that can go the longest time without farting, and I would have realized my childhood dream. Cheers.